But with China, we had a deal, and it was a deal that was really close to being done. It was almost done.
Mnuchin said you were 90% there. Mnuchin said you were 90% there. Are you 90% there now, or you were 90% there before they reneged?
Look, they know what we have to have, and if we don't have intellectual property theft protections, if we don't have the opening of China, China's not open. We're open, but China's not open. So if we don't have the opening of China, if we don't have the things that we negotiated, and maybe even more than that, look, right now we're getting 25% on $250 billion worth of goods. Nobody ever heard of such a thing. It's massive amounts of money. Don't let anyone tell you that we're paying. We're not paying. China's paying for it. China has devalued their currency in order to pay for it. They've devalued their currency, and they're pouring money into their economy and pouring money into these companies, which generally are Chinese-owned indirectly or directly. And we're not paying anything for it. So they're paying us 25. Our consumer, they always say, now China's different than other countries. In some other countries that can happen. But I view tariffs differently than a lot of other people. And by the way, since tariffs have been on, our market has gone through the roof, if you know what I'm talking about. I mean, you never tell me about tariffs. Since tariffs have gone on, I made the deal with Mexico only because of tariffs. Look, We've been trying for 45 years to make a deal, including me for the last year, and I could get nowhere. When the tariffs were... I was ready to put them in. They were supposed to start on Monday. We made the deal in one day that they couldn't make. People couldn't make it in 45 years. Now, when tariffs go on, we took in China. So we're taking in billions and billions of dollars. We never took in 10 cents. Now you have another $325 billion that I haven't taxed yet. It's ripe for taxing, for putting tariffs on. This never happened to China. Now, what is happening is people are moving out of China. Companies are moving out of China. By the way, some are coming back to the United States because they don't want to pay the tariff, et cetera, et cetera. But it's been an incredible thing.
Right.
Am I happy now? Absolutely. Now, I would do additional tariffs, by a very substantial additional tariffs, if that doesn't work, if we don't make a deal. So when you say, are we going to make a deal? It's possible we're going to make a deal, but I'm also very happy where we are now. We're taking in a fortune, and frankly, not a good thing for China, but it's a very good thing for us. A lot of companies are moving. They're dislocating.
If you were to put that additional tariff on the remaining $325 billion, a lot of people feel that would be a game changer. Game changer for the economy. It would be a major disruption in terms of the supply chain. So do you think that they can do anything? You could hear anything from this meeting on Saturday with Xi Jinping that would just push you to put that aside and not put that remaining $325 billion in products on tariff?
No, it's possible. It's absolutely possible.
What could he say?
We have to get a good deal. Look, they have taken advantage of us as a country for so long. They're so far ahead. On average, this country is losing more than $500 billion a year with China. We've rebuilt China. They've done a great job. They're smart. They're genius. They're great. But you know what? They're so far ahead. We have rebuilt China. We've given them $500 billion a year for many years, and we've rebuilt China. Without that money, you don't have the same China. I mean, what they've done to us, and primarily us, they've done well with Europe. They've done well, but what the money they make with us, I mean, if I do what I'm doing, we totally cut that off. We totally cut it off. There's no more $500 billion. It'll go down to a trickle.
But what makes
to an absolute trickle.
What makes you think that the Chinese are going to do anything different than they did when they reneged, right? I mean, back in April, when Mnuchin said that you guys were 90% there, close to a deal, then they reneged, why would they go back on it now? Why do you think they're going to see intellectual property theft any differently today than the day that they reneged?
Okay, so we went in and we thought we had a deal, and we went in, and then they said, we're not going to give you certain things that we agreed on. And I said, that's okay. I told my people, leave the office right now. Don't talk anymore. No more talking. We're putting on a 25% tariff on a full $250 billion.
Wow.
And we did it the following day. And that's it. That was the last conversation we had. Now we've had conversations over the last few days. They are negotiating. But, you know, my attitude is I'm very happy either way. The tariffs are – there's no way you're going to beat the tariffs. There's no way. There's no way you can make that kind of money. And what it does is it really helps us in so many other ways. It helps us in ways that nobody even wants to talk about, and I don't want to talk about them. But very, very powerful what we have right now.
Let's say you put that money on the $325 billion of products from China. Will that affect the election in 2020, Mr. President? I mean, if you see that impact the economy, because I see that the Chinese economy has weakened quite a bit as a result of this administration, your actions. But
to put it mildly,
exactly,
by the way, the Chinese economy is going down the tubes. They want to make a deal. They want to make a deal more than I do. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
They want to make a deal. They want to make
so
a deal.
You think they'll agree? You think they'll agree to make it part of their law that they cannot steal intellectual property from America?
Look, we have lost billions and billions and trillions of dollars with China, right? We're now taking in billions and billions of dollars, and I've only done phase one. Phase one is 25% of $250 billion. I haven't done phase two yet. Now, phase two doesn't have to be 25%. It could be 10%, which people can absolutely handle. But our people aren't going to pay for that either. This is a big misnomer. They devalue their currency like a ping pong ball. I mean, you know, they played the devaluation card for years, and people don't call them on it, and we're looking at calling them on it first time. I mean, you know, what's the difference? You call them on it, big deal, okay? But I want to have a good relationship with China, and I have a great personal relationship with President Xi. He's a friend of mine. I mean, I think he's fantastic, and I think he thinks the same of me, but who knows, okay?
But there are national security risks here, right, Mr. President? I mean, you talk about Huawei and the national security risk that they represent. How do you get your arms around that?
Well, that adds to the complexity because they can take a chip the size of a pinhead, and they can put it into a phone, and nobody can see it, and they can do miracles with that chip.
Wow.
It's an amazing thing. So that plays into it also, and 5G plays into it, and many things play into it. Look, you know, this is it's an incredible. If you like me, if you love deals, it's the ultimate. It's sort of like it's a lot of fun.
Well,
but I'm having fun for a different reason. We're doing great things for the American people.
Yes.
Look at June. They say that if we just sort of carry out June for a few days the way it is, it's the best June in 80 years. Okay, the best June in the stock market we've had in 80 years. By the way, tariffs are on. You know, I tariffed steel 25%. I tariffed aluminum, all aluminum coming into the country 10%.
Right.
With all of that, and we gave Canada and Mexico a break, by the way, big break. We didn't have to, but, you know, a lot of people in Congress said, please give them a break. You know, why they said that, who knows?
In the meantime,
I decided to go along.
I want to talk about the economy because
some people in Congress really like me, so I decided to go along. But the fact is, look what happened with steel. We tariffed it.
Yeah.
The steel companies are going through the roof. The steel companies are doing great.
Yeah, we had one of the steel CEOs on the other day, and she actually confirmed that with us as well. She said that it's been night and day. But before I get to the economy, let me just wrap up here on China, because in the meantime, while you're dealing with the Chinese, you're also trying to do deals with some of the surrounding countries. I know that Secretary Pompeo is in India meeting his counterparts there. You've also spoken to a handful of the Southeast nations. Tell me what you want to see in terms of Japan, India, and Southeast Asia in terms of bilateral deals or however you see it.
Okay, so let me start off with a general statement. Almost all countries in this world take tremendous advantage of the United States. It's unbelievable, okay? I got here, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like even Japan on a treaty. We have a treaty with Japan. If Japan is attacked, we will fight World War III. We will go in and we will protect them, and we will fight with our lives and with our treasure. We will fight at all costs, right? But if we're attacked, Japan doesn't have to help us at all. They can watch it on a Sony television, the attack. So there's a little difference, okay, and all these things. Now, that's a military thing, because there are many, as bad as the economic things are, the military. You take NATO. We pay for close to 100% of NATO. People don't know that. We pay for close to it because Germany doesn't pay what they're supposed to pay, and out of the 28 countries, 7 are paid up. I got them to pay last year $100 billion more. Secretary Stoltenberg will tell you. My biggest fan of the whole world. Bigger than you, Maria. Yep. Bigger than you is Secretary Stoltenberg, okay? Even bigger than you. He goes around saying, if it wasn't for President Trump, we wouldn't even have NATO. The numbers were coming down over 15 years so much. I got him like a rocket ship because I said, hey, folks, either you pay up or, you know, you can forget it.
Yeah.
Why would we do that if they're not? They're just taking advantage. Anyway, but we still have a lot of countries. Germany's taking tremendous advantage. How about this? Germany pays, NATO's all about Russia, right?
Right.
Protect Europe against Russia. I mean, that's most of it. So Germany is paying Russia billions and billions of dollars for energy. Okay, so they're giving Russia billions of dollars, and yet we're supposed to protect Germany, and Germany's delinquent. Okay, so they don't pay NATO what they're supposed to pay, and yet they're paying to, and I don't call Russia an enemy, but they're a potential enemy. They're paying to a potential enemy that we're supposed to protect them from billions of dollars. So they're giving money to the enemy. We're supposed to protect them. And on top of that, they don't pay. They're way delinquent. They're paying 1% instead of 2%.
So are you working on a deal with Europe? Is Europe going to be the next target after you're done with China? Where is the next deal being done?
Europe treats us worse than China. Europe is, believe you know, look, I come from Europe. You come from Europe, okay? You're one of, you're of the European nations.
Yeah.
European nations were set up in order to take advantage of the United States. It was set up for trade in order to take advantage, and they have. You know, they very smartly have, and they have Draghi, who is, we should have Draghi instead of our Fed person.
Yeah.
Draghi, as you know, last week, he said lower interest rates, and we're going to stimulate the economy. They're going to put money into the economy. They're going to force money into the economy because Europe is doing, you know, okay, but they're not doing great. And with us, we have a Fed that keeps raising interest rates. I mean, you explained that one. And this was not what I thought we had.
But some people would say, look, if things are so great in the U.S. and the economy is doing as well as it is, hey, we're at a 51-year low on unemployment, 3.1% growth in the first quarter. Why do we need interest rates to go lower? Why do we need a cut in rates if things are going so well, Mr. President?
Well, one thing, we have a lot of debt. I want to get it out. I want to pay it off. We have a lot of debt, but what we really have is we're going to stay even with these people. These people are devaluing their currency.
Right, that's true.
Because they're not doing well against us. So if they devalue and we can't, we are no longer on a level playing field. When they stimulate their economy, and we have a tightening. We have quantitative tightening. He was doing $50 billion a month. He was tightening. Then he's taking it out. He's sucking it like from a vacuum cleaner. He was taking it out. A lot of people didn't even know that. Now it's $25 billion a month. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
So are you?
So not only are we raising. I've had 9 interest rate hikes. Obama had nothing. He had cheap money. So my economy is far better than Obama's economy. Obama's economy was ready to crash. You couldn't do anything. The rules and regulations, which I've gotten rid of, I have great rules and regulations, but they're reasonable. Under Obama, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't do a Keystone pipeline. You couldn't do anything.
Right. Well, the regulations
were.
The
whole country, right.
Yeah.
But Maria, now we're really rocking and rolling. My problem is that as they reduce their currency in order to take advantage of the United States, we have a man that doesn't do anything for us.
Yeah.
We're sitting there and we stay. He should have never raised the rates to the level that he raised them.
Well, he said he's not going to get pushed around by political. He said, you know, he basically suggested yesterday, I'm not going to get pushed around.
He's trying to prove how tough he is because he's not going to get pushed around.
Yeah.
He's a guy, nobody ever heard of him before, and now I made him, and he wants to show how tough he is. Okay, let him show how tough he is. He's not doing a good job.
Look,
okay,
I think the media got it wrong the other day when they basically said you wanted to demote him. I know you didn't say that. You were answering a question, but you're suggesting now that
I have the right to demote him. I have the right to fire him. But I have the right.
Is that what you're thinking about doing? Are you considering that right now?
I never suggested I was going to do that. I do have the right to do it. But let me just tell you, he has to lower interest rates for us to compete with China. What they're doing is pouring money into the economy, and they're lowering rates. What Europe just did with Draghi, who frankly did a great move, but he's been doing a lot of good moves. What Europe did with Draghi is they're forcing money in. We're doing the opposite. We're taking money out, and we're raising interest rates. It's insane.
So
he should have never raised the rates to the extent that he did. If he would have raised them half, just half, and if he would not have done the quantitative tightening, our market would have been up another 10,000 points. And I'll tell you, GDP would have been up another point or 2 points. We potentially could have hit 5.